welcome to the Metaphorix NAV Know-How webinar. My name is Pauline Forder, and today we're going to look at relationship management within NAV 2016. Yes, so contacts, mailing groups, business relationships, how we can attach such criteria to our contacts. And we'll also be having a look at profiles, how we can put in questionnaires for our contacts, and also be looking at something called auto contact classifications, which is a direct link into the financial side of Navision. We'll have a look at how we can handle duplicates, because obviously we don't want to have duplicates in our contacts database, and we'll be seeing how we can set up the relevant search strings to make sure that duplicates are controlled. We'll then move on to opportunities, where we'll have a look at sales cycles which can be attached to an opportunity, and attached to those sales cycles can be things like activities which themselves are like to-dos. And we'll also see how we can create a quotation for a contact as opposed to a customer. We'll then update our opportunity, and we'll go through how we can define the opportunity as being won or lost. And then we will see how we can organise our opportunities under things called campaigns. So this would be where you are organising a particular sales campaign, either for an event or against a product, perhaps doing a special pricing event for a particular product. And within our campaigns, of course, we need to attach our contacts, and we will do that through something called segments. When we've got our campaign set up and our contacts arranged, then we will send out the interactions or the mail shot, whatever it might be, through to our contacts. So, to our contacts themselves. So in my role centre, I have my contacts here, and we'll just look at this one, which is the Canon Group. Now, Canon Group is both a contact and a customer, but within relationship management, you can have those contacts that are purely just contacts. They might be prospects, they might be vendors, they might be anything. And Navision allows for that. But also those contacts do have a link through to our financial side through our customer and vendor route. So we have information, obviously normal sort of stuff, addresses, etc. We can attach a particular salesperson to this contact, and again that will get taken through from into Finance Nav. We can set up salutations of when we contact our particular contact, how we address them, whether it be formally or informally, and such salutations are defined by the users. We also have some feedback in terms of when we contacted this particular record or this contact previously, and when was the last date of the last interaction, and the interaction could be a sales invoice, an order, purchase, whichever. What was the last date that a contact was attempted, and whether it was, it might be whether that was successful or not, and then we can see when the next to-do date is relevant for this particular contact. Now, these dates are going to look funny because, as usual, we are using the Cronus database, and that is set in 2017. Okay, other information from our contact card. Just come to the segmentation fast tab here. This is where we can attach those things like mailing groups, etc. Again, if I drill down, mailing groups are defined by the users in terms of what types of mailing groups are required, and they can be added to on the fly, as it were. Business relationships. Who are we related to? And again, if we come down and I go to the advanced screen, we can see all the various types of relationships that we have with our contacts here. Obviously customers being Navision, finance customers, and vendors being our vendors. But you'll notice also it does give you feedback as to who those particular contacts are. So by just drilling down again, we can see all the contact cards that we have that are indeed related to our finance customer. Again, we can do this from an industry group's point of view, and of course it is down to the user to determine what those groups should look like and what they are called. Back on our lines section here, we have some various questions and answers. We have two here, which are company ownership and number of employees. Now I know those are set from a standard profile, which we will look at in a moment. However, we have some other questions here. For example, customer purchase frequency last year. So this is where Navision is actually linking through to the finance side of things and reporting back. So last year they this particular contact had a purchase with us five times, whereas this year indeed it is still only 5 times, but interestingly last year the actual turnover from those 5 interactions was below 1,000, whereas this year it's already high above 4,000. But of course, what are those figures all about? So we'll look at those in a moment. First of all, I'll just take you to the standard question and answer profiles that users can set up and apply to both companies and to people records. And quite simply, as we will see, company ownership, and we have the tick box to say this particular company is stock exchange owned and that they have 1 to 99 employees. Okay, so what about these other profile answers that we have here? So to go and find the answers to that, I'll just minimize that for the moment. We'll come into, oh, and how fortuitous I am there. It is within the sales and marketing administration side, and we have the various questionnaires here, again all defined by the user. We'll have a look at that customer questionnaire, and you can see that you can attach each of the different questionnaires to different types of business relationship codes, and whether it's at company level or at people level. So we'll just go to Edit Questionnaire, and we can see here there are various sets of questions asked, and here are those 2 that we were looking at, and there's discount there, and there we've also got turnover, etc. Okay, and there in fact is our purchase frequency down here. So let's have a look at one that gives us quite a bit of feedback. So if we would like to see the current year turnover, here are the rules that determine whether it's the high, medium or low, and we can see that for high, above 4,000, we have a value of 4,000 from and to value of open, i.e. goes on forever. Okay, we can also see the number of contacts that actually fall into that category. We can then see that medium goes from 1,000 to 4,000, and below is from 0 or nothing to 999. But what do these figures relate to? So if we go to the question itself, and we go to the navigate ribbon, and question details, this is where we set the rules for what these figures are actually relating to. So we've got our description there. It is an auto contact classification, i.e. it's going to look into the financial side of NAV to determine the answer. You have a customer classification field, so you can select sales, profit, sales frequencies, etc. In this case, we've got sales LCY. We have a starting date formula and an ending date formula, and the classification is a defined value, i.e. it is defined by the values on our profile setup. So against each type of question, you will have various selections here, criteria as to what you're actually looking for. So if we go back to our contact, you can see here this is why this particular value is being displayed on our contact card. So once we've got our contact set up, we have got various other related contacts perhaps. So from the related contacts here, I can see that the Canon Group has in actual fact got 4 people contacts, and we know they're people because the company contact is always emboldened and the people contact or person contact are not emboldened. And likewise we can see that from our home screen from our list. Again, we can see how the Canon Group is in bold, people group not in bold, and in fact they are indented as well. So once we've got our contacts all set up, prospects, whatever we've classified them as, we might want to check and make sure that we don't have any duplicates within our contacts. So I'm just going to go back to our application setup, into our sales and marketing and our marketing area, into the marketing setup, and we have a fast tab here called duplicates, and this is where you're telling Navision on under what basis you want to search for duplicates. As in, do you want to maintain your duplicate strings, and also do you want to automatically search for duplicates as and when your contacts are created. So as you're creating them, it will tell you that an existing contact already exists with similar details. You have a search hit percentage, and this is about the search criteria, which we will look at a moment. When a certain percentage of that criteria is hit, at that point it is deemed as being a duplicate. And the criteria itself we get from our navigate and duplicate search string setup. And from in here we have several fields that we can pick to check on those duplications. In this particular Cronus database, we're looking at the name field. We're checking the first 5 characters of the name, and then again in the name field the last 5 characters. We're doing similar on the address field, postcode, city, etc. So of course this is how and what Navision is going to check when you running the duplicate search, or when you're doing it, if you've ticked the box, when you're creating a contact. But to set this up and set it going, we can go to our sales and marketing area, go to our marketing, and then we have 2 sections that we're going to look at. We want to generate the records to begin with. So this is where Navision is going to go through all the contacts and then define a list for us that we can look at. We can exclude people if we know that, or contacts if we know that they are indeed not contacts, but I'll just set that going. Once that has run, you then go to the duplicate contacts list, and here we can determine which contacts are deemed as being the duplicates, and you'll notice on the records when you highlight a line, it actually tells you at the bottom section what the details are. So in both cases we have the address, the postcode, the city, etc. being the same. To help us though, because we might even have more than two contacts that are duplicates, we can simply just click on the separate contacts tick box. Here it will highlight the duplicate record, and from here we can then choose to go into advanced, perhaps have a little look at the record oh, excuse me, and then determine whether indeed this is a duplicate or not. If it is, then we can just delete that particular contact if we want to, or we can simply leave it if we think that they are not actual real duplicates. So just to find the one that is a duplicate, as I say, you just click on one particular record and then it will highlight the duplicate for you. So once we've got our contacts set up and we have checked that we haven't got duplicates, then what we can do is start recording our opportunities with our contacts. And the opportunity we're going to do here is not going to be campaign related. We will just do perhaps one that's like from a cold call. So back to our departments, sales and marketing, this time in the sales area, and opportunities. There's several views for opportunities. I just wanted to go through this one with you for this session. You can determine how you want to show the lines and what values you want to see. You can filter on whether it is the opportunities, you want to look at those that are in progress, or perhaps those that you've won over the last few years or whatever. And then in the matrix you determine which view you want to use, whether you want to do it based on a monthly basis, etc. So we'll just view this matrix just so that you get an idea for what we can see. At the moment, because we have salesperson and estimated value, we have Bart, Deborah and John here, and we can see in 2016 that Bart has got 51,000, Deborah has got £97,000 worth of opportunities. But let's just have a look at that view in a different way. We might want to view it just from the number of opportunities rather than a value. So by just simply changing the criteria, we can see, okay, Deborah's amount was more, but indeed she has actually got more opportunities on the go at the moment. We might want to actually do it from a contact point of view. So from a contact, we can see the various contacts and how many opportunities we have available with them. But I'm just going to take this back to our salesperson code. We have looked at the estimated value, and I'll just refresh our memories. So we've got 51, 97 and 3 respectively. However, if I were to change this to the calculated current value, you'll notice that those values have indeed been reduced quite considerably. And that is because these opportunities are based on what's called the sales cycle, and against those sales cycles you can associate percentages of where you are in that cycle and how much you have completed the cycle, which then reflects at that stage what that opportunity potentially is worth at that stage. So I'm just going to take this back and have a look back at our estimated values. So we can see here that Deborah has got the 97. So if we can simply drill down into here, and we can see that we have those 5 that we saw earlier, and that we have this one here, which is 80,000. So we'll go and have a look at that and see where we are at the moment. We can see from this screen indeed that it is current sales cycle stage of 1, but we want to just go and have a look at that particular opportunity card. So here it is, and we can see the details. It's for Claire, and the company contact is Delta. We haven't got anything being displayed in here, and that's basically would have the sales quote if it was attached to this opportunity, and I will show you how we create that in a moment. Down on our lines we can see it's active. We're at stage cycle 1 at the moment. The estimated value is 80,000, but the current calculated is here based on that percentage completed. We've also got a chance of success based on the opportunity and the sales cycle when we've set it up. So the sales cycle, which we can see from our General Fast tab, we'll have a little look at sales cycles. And again, these are designed by the users, and basically you can have as many sales cycles set up as is relevant to your company. It might be based on product related or size of company, anything that determines different route on a sales cycle. In this case, we've got our first large. So if we go and have a look at our first large stages, or the cycles within that stage. So here, sorry, I just close that screen down. Okay, so we have various stages within our sales cycle. We have an initial stage, qualification, company presentation even, and these are again all designed by the user. At each point we can determine how far we think we are in the completion of the sales cycle, and that is what's used for the value that we saw when we were looking at the matrix for the opportunities. We can also attach activity codes or to-dos for our salespeople perhaps to carry out in the various stages of our sales cycle. We can determine at what point a quote is required, although it doesn't stop us from creating a quote beforehand, but basically at the workshop stage then a quote should have been already created. And we can see whether we can allow the user, when they're going through the update process of the opportunity, whether that particular stage can be skipped or not. Date formulas can also be attached to the various stages, but quite often that's not particularly helpful because each customer or potential customer will work in a different way. So if we then go and have a look at what the activities or what the to-dos are for the particular sales cycle stages. So in here we can see that we've got our different ones labelled, and within that this is the activity itself, and as you can see from the header it is our initial to-dos. We can associate a type, as in a meeting or phone call. We can give it a description, and we can attach a priority. So verify the quality of the opportunity would be quite high on the list, I would have thought. Then we can see here for the identification of key personnel, the priority is normal, and from the first initial stage, how long we want this part to be acted upon. So from the initiation of the opportunity itself to identify the key personnel within 1 week. If we go to the needs, we can see that there are additional or different activities and to-dos to make. Estimate the customer needs, phone calls, set up a meeting, etc. And again, putting some time limits on those to-dos. So once we have our sales opportunity, we have viewed this through the matrix, but of course we can do it in other ways, and I will show you that way now. So I will just come out of that screen, because you don't have to go into the matrix to see the opportunity. It does come from the contact. So I'll just change that to Delta and go to my navigate, opportunities, and there we are. We're back at that opportunity screen. Just before we do that, however, I just want to show you the to-dos, because from our sales cycle we have these to-dos being generated. The main list will show all of the to-dos, whether they are closed or not. So it's quite useful to do a filtered view where you're looking at just the open to-dos, and you'll notice on my view here I have actually added an additional filter just for the salesperson code DC. So I see this is being set up on all the various salespeople's role centres. So back to our opportunity. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to move this one on and take it to its next stage, and that is done very simply by coming to the update routine, and a wizard is activated and it says what you want to do. Go on to the next stage. The options are go back, skip if skip is allowed, or update as we're doing, but we're actually going to move it on to the next stage. So the next stage, and it tells us it's the qualification stage, and what is the date of this change. We can also, if required at this point, change the estimated value if conversation has taken place with the contact and it may have gone up or down. And we can revisit the success rate that we think that we might have now on this particular opportunity. Because we're moving on to the next stage, there might be some existing to-dos from the previous stage that need to be closed. So here we would just simply click on the close existing to-dos, ready to generate our new to-dos. Our finish button is now highlighted, so we can just move that on. And you'll notice that stage 1 is now not active, whereas stage 2 is, and that the estimated value is still the same because I didn't change that. However, the calculated current value based on the percentage completed has now increased based on that calculation. So at this point we can create a sales quote, and we can do that from our screen by simply going to the assign sales quote. The show sales quote is there for any quotes that we might have generated already. So I will just go to assign sales quote, make that big screen, and you'll notice that that opportunity is linked to the sales quote. However, because our contact, Delta Trading, isn't actually a customer yet, the customer number field cannot be filled in. And because in order to generate a sales quote, we need things like posting groups to determine VAT, etc., then because it's not a customer, we will have to apply a customer template. Again, multiple templates can be set up for the different types of customers. I'm just going to go for a large customer here. Salesperson code has come through from our contact card, which is what we would want to happen. So at this point, I'm just going to enter my product that the customer is buying. And obviously we're aiming to get to the estimated value of our opportunity. It doesn't have to though, because sometimes things just don't work out that way. And I'll get the Innsbruck storage centre to go with that, and I'll have 100 of those, and indeed that will take us over our estimated value, which is very, very good. So at this point, obviously we'll email the quote or send it off to the prospect. So I'm just going to say OK to that, because I just want to show you now how that quote has now been added to our opportunity card. So from a salesperson's perspective, or anybody else within the organisation, you can always get access to the particular quote by going to show sales quote. However, again, we don't have to be in the opportunity to be able to see that quote, so I will now close that and come to my sales quotes, and there it is. So at this point I have the opportunity, of course, to change it. It is just a normal open document for me. Once I'm happy though, then I would want to make this quote into an order, because I've been very fortunate that they've come back and said yes please. So to make order, usual Navision query there. However, it says you cannot release or make an order unless you specify a customer. Well, of course we haven't got a customer at the moment. However, because we're part of the wizard, it will now allow us to create that customer. And it tells us that customer number 10 has now been created. And it will still bring up the normal dialog boxes in terms of inventory shortages, if applicable. And lastly, well, one more thing after this even, it tells me that there is an open opportunity linked to the quote, and the opportunity has to be closed before the quote can be converted to an order. Do I want to do this? Now, in this case, obviously I do. If you don't, then the opportunity will remain open, the quote will remain open, and then you can create further quotes, whatever you want to do. However, in this case, I am going to close the opportunity because I do want to make the order. And again, I'm presented with a little wizard. It thinks, because I've said I have and want to make the order, that I have won the opportunity, which indeed I have. And now I have the chance to tell it why, what was the reason for winning the opportunity. And again, this is a list defined by the user. So it might be competent consultant, good customer relations, best price, whatever. I'm going to make it a competent consultant. And the sales amount, because this is statistics as far as the opportunity is concerned, so I want to record how successful my opportunity is, and I can simply, quick way to get that populated, open the quote, and it then comes back with that quote value for me if I want to do it that way. When I've done that, I can decide again whether I want to cancel any of the existing open to-dos, which probably I would want to, so I would just tick and do finish. Tells me that the quote has been converted to my order, and therefore my opportunity is closed, my quote has been made in order, and now we're in standard Navision routines as far as the financial sides are concerned. So that opportunity was generated and carried out as a one-off, but of course we can have things like campaigns, sales events, invitations to exhibitions, whatever we might want to do, and that is carried out through the campaign functionality. I will just create a new campaign, and you can obviously have as many campaigns on the go at any one time. I'll generate the next campaign number. Invite to golf event. Sell, because I want to associate it with a product, because perhaps we've had an upgrade to the product or new pricing, whatever it might be. I can set my campaign so that people are aware that perhaps I'm just working on it at the moment. It might have to go through an approval or etc. So I will actually just start this campaign. I can attach starting and ending dates if I wish to. I can also assign one particular salesperson code if it is just for a particular salesperson, but in this particular example, I want it available to all my salespeople. If I need to attach specific dimensions, and these are the two global dimensions in the Cronus database, department and project code, then I can assign those here. So that is my campaign itself, but I did mention that it could be associated with special pricing, for example, on an item. So I can go to my actions, my navigate, sales prices, sales lines, discounts. This is into standard Navision that you probably will be familiar with, where you can specify an item, quantity, break, and unit price, etc. Likewise with discounts, you can associate a discount with this specific campaign. Once you have set those prices up, if you are doing so, then you just need to activate the sales prices, and then from the sales document, if the campaign number is specified, it will automatically bring through those special pricing dependent on the criteria you have entered. So once we've got this set, and either we have done the sales prices or discounts, which were on my home ribbon by the way, we would then want to invite those contacts to be able to join in on our special event. So to do that, we will go to our segments and create new, generate our next number and give it a description. And as much information as we want to here. Again, we can say this particular segment might be just for one particular salesperson. So you could have multiple segments, one for each of your salespeople if you wanted to. I'm just going to minimize my lines for a moment because I want to take you to the interaction fast tab. And here, this is where we can associate these things called interaction template codes. And if I drill down into here, again, we can have any number of interaction templates set up. They can be letters, they can be emails. You'll notice here we've got our purchase and our sales documents. So anything that is set up in here will be attached to our contacts as interactions if we want them to. I'm going to be sending out this golf letter, and if we look at the details on our line of our interaction, we can see that we do have an attachment to this interaction. We have also said that we want to ignore the contact correspondence type. So this is saying if the contact is set up only to do emails, for example, we can override that here with whatever type of correspondence we're going to make for this particular interaction. We're going to do this particular golfing letter by hard copy because we want to send out some other things with the letter. We can also attach a cost and a duration so that we can monitor how much the interaction has cost us, which again is attached to the campaign, which is attached potentially to an opportunity, and get statistics back on how much such events can cost us. We say how the information is, whether it's inward or outward, and whether it's initiated by ourselves or not, and again if it is only attached to one particular campaign. So let's have a look at our, if I can, yes, open my attachment. Thank you. And you can see here we've got some control characters that are going to do just like mail merge, and here is your field here that you use to generate the control characters. You've got your salutation coming in. Is it formal, informal, dependent on the details that you want to send out. And then you pop in, I'll just put some text there. In true Blue Peter fashion, I had some text saved, so I brought that into here. And then you've got other informations like salespeople code, document date, etc. Now, just to note, once your interaction document is open, you have to close it before you can go back to Navision. So I've created my content detail there. So I'm just going to say OK, and it asks me, do I want to import it? Well, yes, I do. And now I'm going to select that. If you remember, we were actually on our segment, and now that has come through onto my interaction fast tab. I'm going to enter a subject. This would be used both if the interaction was an email, and also Navision does actually want to have a subject anyway, but that would be what your email subject heading would be. We see that we have got indeed an attachment and that we're ignoring the correspondence type. We've said that it is hard copy and the methods, and here's those unit costs and durations coming through. So once we've got that information set up, we now actually need to add our contacts to our segment. And of course we could manually do this by just drilling down and picking up our contacts. But of course we don't want to do that in this particular instance. So we will go to Add Contacts. In here we've got various details that we can choose to filter our contacts by. We can choose from a contact in terms of not selecting, perhaps excluding certain contacts. What I'm going to do for this particular exercise is I'm going to only send this letter to our customer base. So in our business relationship, I can pick up that they are only to be customers. And then, because this is all about an upgrade to an existing product, I'm going to type in my product code here. And then when I'm happy, I just say OK, and the vision has now gone through, checked all our contacts that are indeed customers and that have bought that particular product. And you'll notice in our number of lines here, it tells us that I've got 3, and the number of criteria, which is telling me the rules that I set to populate my contacts. Now, in some areas, you might find when you're suggesting your contacts that you have far too many and you wish to reduce the number on the list. And the way that we would do that is that we would come to our actions ribbon, contacts, and we will reduce our contacts. And this time I'm going to use another filter, and I'm going to use this interaction log entry. So in this case, I'm going to say I don't want to send an invite to any contacts that I might have already spoken to, and I therefore would have recorded an interaction. So here I'm just going to say I don't want anybody that I've contacted this month, or whatever the time range should be. So I'll say OK to that, and now my list has been reduced, and indeed I can now see that I have got my 2 initial add contacts rules, and then the rule whereby I have reduced my number by adding people that, or excluding people rather, that I've contacted recently. So once my list is complete and I'm ready to send this out, whether it be email or hard copy, I will simply just click on the log interactions. It asks me, do I want to send the attachments, and do I want to create a follow-up segment? That can be quite useful if you want to have a new segment generated detailing all those people that you have contacted, and then you can use that for following segments as well for doing other things, or just recording the fact that you've been successful with particular contacts or not. So I will just say OK to that. And what is happening now behind the scenes, if you're sending it to hard copy, then your printer will start printing. And it tells us that the segment has indeed been logged. So because it is now a log segment, it now is removed from my open segment logs. So once I have done that, then I can go and have a look at the interaction that we just created on one of the contacts that was on that particular campaign. So I will just say OK here. I will come back to my contacts, and one of those contacts was house something or the other. There we go. So that was one of the contacts on my segment. I can go to navigate and interactions, interaction log entries. Okay, and there we can see our golfing letter that we have sent out. To make sure we know what we've actually sent them, we can actually go to the show, and the letter as per our interaction that has gone out to our customer. You'll notice here as well, because this is an existing customer, we do have other interactions because of the interaction templates. So from here I can actually go and view an invoice that we have sent out to our customer and any other interaction that we might want to view. So, in summary, today we have gone through contacts and how we can associate mailing groups and business relationships. We've looked at profiles and how we can use the auto contact classifications to give us financial feedback about our customers. We've seen how we can set up duplicate strings so that we can make sure that we do not have duplicate contacts in our contact database. And we've looked at the opportunities and sales cycles, how we can create the activities, those to-dos, which will jog our salespeople's memories to get on and do the task at hand. We've created a quotation for a contact and converted that contact when we updated our opportunity to a customer. We've then looked at how we can utilise the campaign functionality and associate different events that we might be running and generate the relevant segments where the contacts that we wish to send the details out to are generated and the resulting interactions behind that. I do hope you've enjoyed this particular session, and a recording of this and our previous webinars are available for you to download from the address shown on your screen. Or of course you can email Debbie or support if you want any additional information. So thank you for joining us.